just kind of secluded. Just knowing you're not, though.
Yeah.
That was a long way to say I'm going to the Poconos this weekend.
That was a long way to say that we're probably better at spitballing than the spitballing guys. But, Joe just can't be me.
Well, you know what? That dude's about to pop out a baby at any moment, so I'm sure I'm going to be co-hosting over there sometime soon.
Maybe I'll just pop on, just to cuck him as always. I stole his best friend. Week 2 of the radio, I showed up and took his place and showed out. So I'll just take his job at spitballing too. Maybe I'll just take over Brandon. Maybe I will just lead a revolt and take over the company from him.
Chris Hansen here, and I'm going to need you all to take a seat right over there and check out Birds versus Boys.
I think you're completely right here, and I hate it.
Yep. Hey, idiots. Stop doing dumb things.
I got 2 phones.
Upset alert. Upset alert. I might go insane.
I think you're already there.
There's no hope. Hope is gone.
If this was an AFC North podcast, we'd be done in 15 minutes.
Bob Hope. I'm going to drink bleach. That
it? Be the team you promised me you were going to be this year!
This is the Consciously Hopeful podcast.
I'll be watching.
All right. Welcome into a mini episode of the Birds vs. Boys podcast, sponsored by Stateside Vodka. I'm Aidan. I'm here with producer Vince. Behind the boards usually, but also with us commentating today. We're without Kevin, our boys portion of Birds vs. Boys. Family emergency, power's out, so all together, just not going to happen this week. It's a vacation week for a lot of people. So
we didn't have the boys, so we brought in the kid.
So you brought in the kid. Not to make excuses, because some of us came back from vacation and might have torn meniscus, and we're here. But we're here. We'll get it done. So honestly, it's the perfect time to do a miniature episode because there's just not a lot going on in the NFL. A lot going on everywhere else in the sports world. So we have a few topics to talk about. We'll do our TikToks as always. And we'll just tackle a few Eagles points. Vince, how are you doing? You've been busy.
I have been busy. We just started spitballing. If you didn't get your weekly fix of Vince, you can head over there. I host a game show over there now. Go check. James Harden just got in some legal trouble today, so go check out Aidan over on PNR. I'm sure that's going to be a topic of discussion.
Yes.
And then, were you just in the Poconos? You were somewhere with trees. Were you just in the Poconos?
Mount Gretna Lake, at the lake, yeah.
I'm going up to the Poconos we're recording this Thursday, so I'm going up tomorrow night.
You live in the city, and we were literally just talking about this with how, like, dog parks are just like a 2x2 foot square of a grass patch that's fake grass in the city. How good is it to escape for, like, a weekend or even just, like, a mini vacation to get out of town to somewhere with like trees where you can see the sunset without smog?
Yeah, so we leave the city maybe once a week right now, but back before we had the dog, we were like, I don't know why that's not a frame of reference for anyone but me. So maybe like 5 months ago, we would be in the city for like weeks, like months at a time, and then we would go to our parents' house in like rural South Jersey, and it's like, I'm like, oh, what the hell is that? And it was just stars.
It's bright outside for no reason.
Yeah.
It's just a giant moon out there. It's wild. Those things still exist.
We didn't see the moon here until we had already been here for like 3 months. I was like, we get the moon?
You don't see stars. I don't know if people realize that don't live in the city. There's no starry nights. It's just a city. You don't see anything. Yeah, then I go home or out into like the lake, and you're like, oh my God, there's like a lot of them left.
Yeah, so we live on the 15th floor and looks out just into West Philly. There's no like big buildings in our way, so we have like an unobstructed view, tons of sky. Have not seen a single star. Every time I'm like, oh, it's a star. It's a helicopter searching for like an escaped convict or something.
Yeah. My sister just got back from Los Angeles. She was like, great city, would never live there. 15 times more smog there than here. Just gross. It's
I wouldn't even
not
visit.
real. I would visit Los Angeles.
I would definitely. It's like, I mean, I've only heard bad things. It's like crazy homeless problem. It's dirty. The smog, the heat.
Yeah,
I'm good.
Now, in actual Los Angeles, I don't think the heat is as bad. Like, if you go outside, then it's like 100 degrees because you're just in like a California desert area. But yeah, it's like overcrowded, overpopulated, like every other city. So It's nice to get outside like you and I are both doing and get into a place with trees. Once you live in the city, you don't want to go to other cities on vacation. Like you're not like, New York City for a mini trip? No, thanks.
I don't even like going to 12th and Chestnut, and that's like 5 blocks away. I'm good with my little area. I'm asking to stay here.
You go to work and you go home.
I'm a big time anti-travel guy. I want to stay where I'm at and don't want to go anywhere.
I like to travel
for the weekend. Yeah. The Poconos, like up in the middle of nowhere. It's 30 minutes from the closest anything.
Yes.
But it's still in kind of like a neighborhood, so it's not terrifying. Right on a lake. It'd be good for a few days to just chill.
Yeah, you're not going to Jason's Woods, but like you said, middle of nowhere, kinda. There's other people, but not a lot. When you live in the city, it's perfect.
If I shout, at least 5 different houses will hear me, so that's cool. But it's like there's trees separating everything, so you still feel like you're in the woods.
Yeah,
it's kind of secluded. Just knowing you're not, though.
Yeah.
That was a long way to say I'm going to the Poconos this weekend.
That was a long way to say that we're probably better at spitballing than the spitballing guys, but Joe just can't be me.
Well, you know what? That dude's about to pop out a baby at any moment, so I'm sure I'm gonna be co-hosting over there sometime soon.
Maybe I'll just pop on just to cuck him as always. I stole his best friend. Week 2 of the radio, I showed up and took his place and showed out. So. And I'll just take his job at spitballing too. Maybe I'll just take over Brandon. Maybe I will just lead a revolt and take over the company from him. But
I was in the studio when they were doing all that shit talking on spitballing, and if I wasn't on my phone and trying to figure out how to work StreamYard on my phone, I would have come in and defended you. But
thanks. Well, for the shoulda, coulda, wouldas. It was the fact that it was 2 minutes into the episode and I was the first topic and no nice things were said.
It's the first episode of the show, and you were the first topic, and it was all mean.
It was the pilot episode, and their first topic was destroy Aidan.
On the show, well, you can't even defend yourself. It's not even your show. Like you wouldn't.
I didn't even know it was coming. I was given forewarning by them a day before the episode came out. It's like when a newspaper writes like not a puff piece. What's the opposite of a puff piece? Expose.
Yeah.
Where they're just going to grill you and expose you for all the bad things you've done, although I did nothing bad. And then they're going to be like, would you care to comment on the 13 pages of terrible stuff we're about to write about you? Like, what are you going to do? It's already done.
Yeah, you're like the Trevor Bauer of Brandon, I guess.
Let's not do that. Because I would not like that to be a thing. Let's not make that a thing. What I did wrong, which I didn't do anything wrong, aside from be better than Joe, and he's mad about it, and what Trevor Bauer have done are 2 totally different things.
Well, he didn't do anything wrong according to him either, so.
Okay. Well, maybe. Doesn't look good. Him and Deshaun Watson, it's just like, there's a little bit too much evidence against you for me to believe you. Yeah. You want to believe like anything but there's just a little bit too much evidence.
Yeah, it was like Bill Cosby got out because too many people had the same story.
Mm-hmm. Which is wild.
I've never seen that. I'm no lawyer, and I didn't even read the article. I just saw the headline and read the Brandon group chat. But that seems like it's what happened.
It's pretty much, I feel like, what happened. And like one story didn't corroborate. Mm-hmm. So the Eagles. Go Temple. Yep. So the Eagles. We have 2 major topics. They're kind of related to each other. Let's focus on the main talking point. What a talking point for middle of July football. So Get Up on ESPN was inspired by Doug Peterson, who did an interview, and he was kind of talking about the process with Carson Wentz and whether he felt like Wentz was undermined by the selection of Jalen Hurts. So they were talking about that today on Get Up on ESPN. Dan Orlovsky, who is the number 1 Carson Wentz supporter, which is coming from the number 2 Carson Wentz supporter. He said, if Jalen Hurts plays as well as he can't sniff as good as Carson Wentz is. If the Eagles could go back right now and redo that decision, I'm 100% convinced that they would not have taken Jalen Hurts. I felt that way since literally 3 seconds after they took this kid. And it's not even a knock on Hurts. I've written a million reasons as to why this was a bad pick, including why it was bad for Jalen Hurts. Like, Could you imagine being Jalen Hurts and Drew Brees is going to retire and the Saints don't have a backup quarterback and you could just learn from a Hall of Famer for 1 year and take over and just be the guy? And instead, like, you get drafted by some team who just signed their quarterback to a 4-year extension. Like, yeah, it worked out in the end. But even at the time, I'd be like, yeah, don't draft me.
Can you imagine him seeing a 215 number pop up on his phone?
I would think it was a joke.
Yeah, I'd be like, who in New Orleans is from Philly?
Mm-hmm. Did I get my major cities mixed up? Is Chicago 215? Am I just having – he's from the South. He probably got them all – Boston, New York, Philadelphia, Chicago. He probably got them all mixed up. He's like, 215, that's not Chicago, is it? That's probably what happened.
Yeah, they just drafted him a year later.
Yeah, and Justin Fields. Even though Justin Fields is better than he is. But, oh well, I digress. I'm still in on Jalen Hurts.
This whole situation, I feel so bad for Jalen Hurts because he seems an all-around like a good guy. He seems like a good guy to have on your team. Everyone says he's a great leader, which I'm sure he is. But like not being able to sniff Carson Wentz isn't like Carson Wentz is a very good quarterback.
Yeah,
you and I are big Carson Wentz defenders, and objectively, he is at minimum he is an average quarterback. At maximum, he is an MVP. We've seen that.
Yeah, and the thing about it is, like, yes, they take Jalen Hurts in the second round, but there's a reason that 5 or 6 quarterbacks went before him, if you remember last year. Like, there were serious accuracy concerns with Jalen Hurts going into that draft, so it's not crazy to come out with this take. I know everybody loves Jalen, and I do too, because of what you talked about with the leadership and just how locker room seems to always rally around him no matter where he goes. But there's a reason that he fell to 53rd overall. There's a reason that they took Wentz 2nd overall. Like, there's a clear talent gap. This isn't a crazy take for Orlovsky to say that. And it's kind of the take that a lot of people have had. So we hope it works out with Jalen, but that's not a crazy take. And I do agree with that sense that if they could go back in time, they definitely wouldn't have taken Hurts. And it's not a knock on Hurts because, like we just talked about, if he goes to New Orleans, if he goes to somewhere else, like, he's fine. He'll be a quarterback. Even if he goes to, I don't know, what's another team? Let's say Minnesota. They're not quite sold on Kirk Cousins. Like, they just drafted Kellen Mond, and we'll see what happens there. Like, something like that.
Washington.
Or Washington, Carolina. The list goes on of places where you're like, I don't know. Because they had Teddy Bridgewater, but clearly bailed on that after a year. Or Tampa Bay. You sit behind Tom Brady for 2 years because Hurts was supposed to be a developmental project. Sit behind the greatest of all time for 2 years. You become the starter. Have a great career the rest of your career.
It's such a shame. He seems like he would have been the perfect guy to sit behind a Hall of Famer for a year or two and like learn a little bit. Him just getting thrown into the fire that is Philadelphia is not going to be good for him. And I kind of feel bad because, like, at this point, he's going to be here for 3-4 years. He's either going to have a great season in this year, next year. They're going to overpay him. They're going to trade him, or they're just going to cut him. He's going to go somewhere else, and he's never going to get that like mentorship he would have gotten behind Tom, Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. Like, he's never going to get that.
I was just about to say the Packers route would have been perfect for him. Like, if he were in Jordan Love's role, where you have to sit for 2 years, 1 year, whatever it is, just sit behind Aaron Rodgers, just learn, and then you're the face of the franchise for a decade. That would have been the perfect role for him. But we're doing the same character arc with every athlete in the city. We fall in love with somebody right away. Wentz was before Jalen Hurts, Ben Simmons, all these guys. They draft them. We believe. We buy in. We start to realize what the flaws are. We start to give up. And then after 4 or 5 years, we're totally out and we're on to this shiny new toy. Like, oh, Spencer Rattler in 2 years out of Oklahoma. I don't know. He could be the face of the franchise. We'll do the same thing.
Archie Manning. He's got great tape.
We're going to be in on Arch Manning in 2027 after we're done with Hurts and we're done with Spencer Rattler. That's all this city does. We are literally the meme that they make fun of Bleacher Report with Toy Story, dropping Woody and being like, I don't want to play with you anymore. That's all we do with our notable star athletes. That's exactly what they're going to end up doing with Jalen Hurts probably too. We're just going to drop him off and move on to the next guy.
I believe that was at Bad Gal Alley that tweeted that, not Bleacher Report.
What?
The Woody into the trash can. I don't want to play with you anymore. Markelle Fultz is already in there.
Oh, well, it's the one they always post it anytime there's a new rookie. Like, they post it at Bleacher Report, not Bleacher Report itself. It'll be like Zion's face, and it'll be like Bleacher Report now that LaMelo is in the league. And it'll be like, I don't want to play with you anymore. And now it's going to be like, once Cade Cunningham's in the league, and it'll be LaMelo's face, and like, I don't want to play with you anymore. They do it every single time. But yeah, that's pretty much what we've become. So I believe in Hurts, but I also believe, like Orlovsky said, they did not realize the repercussions of what would happen when they drafted him. And that's because we have a GM who has absolutely zero social skills.
Yeah, I was going to say, how do you not see that coming? Like, we haven't done it 100 times.
Because, and you hear in the same article gets written about Howie Roseman every season. Great cap guy, really understands how to work that, understands how to build a roster, terrible people skills. Doesn't know how to...
Yeah, dirty, rotten rat.
Rat, yeah. But even beyond that, like, he doesn't know how to communicate with people on a person-to-person basis. It's why Chip Kelly took over in the first place. Then he had the same problem once he came back. Like, he doesn't know how to communicate with people. He struggles with social skills. This is how you end up in a situation where you don't foresee a locker room problem like that with a guy who wouldn't fit in a locker room in charge. He didn't realize the repercussions of you bring in this backup quarterback to undermine Carson Wentz, and everybody rallies around the backup. Like, everybody foresaw this except for this guy because he doesn't have people skills. He can't relate to those type of things happening.
And you know what's super annoying? The Eagles are going to go – they're going to – whatever their over-under for wins are this year, they're going to go over. They're not going to make the playoffs. Or if they do, they're going to squeak in. They're going to lose first week. Maybe they pull out a win the first week of the playoffs. Everyone goes nuts for Jalen Hurts. And it's all just because it's that first year. Everyone's rallying around Jalen. He's going to come out slow. Yeah, he's going to come out slow the year after. And everyone's going to turn on him. But how he's going to get that extra 2-3 years of job security because – well, look what Jalen Hurts. He had one good year. He can do it again. Blah, blah, blah. Let's give him a big paycheck. And then it's going to be back here again. Like, tell me you can't see it coming.
No, it's exactly what happens every single time. We'll be a borderline playoff team with a bad team this year. They'll be like, well, if the defense was better, it wasn't Jalen Hurts' fault, so we'll give him another chance. And the national media will be like, oh, if they had a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts, they would have been in the playoffs. And they'll be like, no, screw you. We love Jalen Hurts because we're Philadelphia. And you're not right. We're right. And we'll do that for 3 years. And then we'll be like, you know what? There's somebody better out there. And then we'll throw him and cast him to the side and pick up on somebody else.
Blogs out now at brandedsports.com, thebrandedsports.com. Philadelphia fans are too critical about it. Someone wrote that today. It was a pretty good article.
I thought so too, but I might be a little bit biased.
I saw that. I saw the headline. I was like, "Thank fucking God, someone said it."
I think that's the common ground, right? If we want to do a quick like Philly fan synopsis, like we babied Ben Simmons like he was a toddler, potty training. Where if he did it, like he had to do the most basic thing in the world. We cheered for him to wit's end if he did it, and when he failed, they're like, "Oh, it's okay. You'll do it next time." So, no, he doesn't get to be coddled. Danny Green doesn't get to tell us how to handle him. We were nice, but all in all, this has been a very negative fan base who is too impatient and too negative.
Yeah, I saw that quote from Danny Green, and I was like, shit, because I just knew what kind of day we were about to have. Like, because I
saw the headline, I knew what they were going to have.
Danny's too smart to mean what that quote meant. You know, like I think he just said something and that's probably not 100% what he meant. You know what I'm trying to say? Like,
yeah, like he's defending his teammate. What did you want him to say? Be like, yeah, no, screw Ben Simmons. He should have played better. You guys should have booed the shit out of him.
But also to think that 3-time NBA champion on 3 different teams, Danny Green doesn't know what he's talking about.
That is Philly's problem there. Everybody else is wrong except for me. A 3-time NBA champion who played with San Antonio, who's considered like basketball at its purest, the Los Angeles freaking Lakers with LeBron. Oh, not to mention he won the first title in Toronto. That is a well-run organization with a great GM, and he won it with Kawhi. So all 3 stops he's played with Hall of Fame players, Duncan, probably Tony Parker, LeBron, Kawhi. He's wrong. he's mentally soft, not us. Like that is what's wrong right now. Everybody's wrong except for us.
All this city needs is each team needs a winner. Like Bryce Harper, he's a great athlete, right? He's a great athlete, clutch player. He's never been on a winning team. I don't care about his high school, college teams, whatever. I don't think he played college, but like he's never been on a like prolific winning team. You know what I mean? Like Danny Green, Dwight Howard, two guys, veteran leadership. They know how to win. I guess Dwight Howard doesn't. He's never been on the super successful team. But he's been in the league long enough to know how to deal with shit.
He did carry that Magic team in 2009 to the NBA Finals. I mean, it's no knock against you to lose in the NBA Finals to Kobe. So he's been there. He's been the leader of a team that made it to the championship, and this team did not. But it's crazy how both of those guys could tell you that you're wrong and how you're handling it, and you don't listen.
Piles on top of them.
Imagine going into a classroom. Yeah, exactly. I know this is like not birds versus boys, but it is tied into everything that's been happening with every sports team in the city. It's why Carson's gone. It's why a lot of these guys are gone. Like people seem to be better off when they leave.
If you look at the Eagles Super Bowl team, I forget how many people on that team had already had a ring. It was like an astounding number of people that already
brought in win. Yeah,
exactly. You bring in people that win. How we got it right 1 year. You need to keep doing it. LeGarrette Blount, Malcolm Jenkins,
Chris Long.
We had one of the Bennetts, right?
He was the year after, but I don't consider him a winner. He's around. Torrey Smith.
Torrey Smith. That's who I was thinking of. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's all leadership on each side of the ball. So every position group had a winner, had a leader, a captain. Like we don't have that right now.
No,
Jason Kelce. Who else? Zach Ertz doesn't want to be there. Jason Kelce probably doesn't want to be there. He's just a good guy. He's not gonna hurt your team. But I feel like he's just show up, go to work, go home.
And maybe that's how Jalen Hurts makes his headway in this city. Is there's not a lot of leadership right now. There doesn't seem to be a clear direction, and there's not a lot of positivity. Maybe everybody rallies around him, especially this locker room. Hopefully, this fan base. Everyone seems to be sold on at least giving him a chance. We'll see how long it lasts, but for now, it's one of the few times right now where we're giving somebody a chance.
We need him to be we need him to be somewhere between Tom Brady screaming on the bench and Dwayne Haskins screaming at his players I'm doing everything I can. We don't need that motivational guy. We need the guy that's
we just need somebody between Dwayne Haskins and Tom Brady, which is could the range get any wider?
Well, he's the next franchise quarterback in
Pittsburgh. Yeah. Good luck with that. All right. One more thing on Jalen Hurts. Top 5 fantasy quarterback. We just did our fantasy draft. I know it's early, but you know how it is. You got to get it in when you can get it in. Everybody was in town. It was the only weekend we're going to be in town aside from a wedding. So I took him pretty late. I'm not a believer. Took him for fantasy. I think he could be a top 5 fantasy quarterback. I really could.
I don't think top 5 fantasy player means top 5 in the league. So I think you're right. He can be a statistical monster. That's fine.
That's exactly how it is.
Yeah, I completely agree with you.
Top 5 real life quarterback? No. Top 5 fantasy quarterback? Yes. The importance of rushing yards for a quarterback just skews everything. And if you look at his stats over the last 4 games of the year, he turned out multiple top 5 performances as a quarterback. I know the Arizona game was one of them, and I believe one other one. It might have been New Orleans. I think he had close to we can look this up, how many yards he had, but I think he had almost 100 yards rushing in that game. Let's check and see. Rushing yards versus Saints, 106. So before we even get into quarterback stats, that's 10 points fantasy right there. 10 for each, 10 yards each point. 106. If you play by decimals, you got 10.6 points as a running back pretty much before you even get to quarterback stats. So I absolutely
too, because he's they're not going to run the ball to Miles Sanders as much, I don't think. just because I think Jalen Hurts is going to take some of those carries away. And then you're getting those points anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And with the offensive line, it should be better. It should be improved this year. So that'll help in terms of not having to run as much. But you still have the issue with the receivers. We think Devante Smith will help, but it's a huge leap. If he's not successful right away, that's okay. We don't have to throw him out. We don't have to do the Woody. I'm done playing with you. I'm not playing with you anymore. It's fine. But it does take a while for receivers to develop, so he could be still running a lot because guys aren't getting open.
Well, according to Bleacher Report, we have top 8, I think, tight end in the league, so that's cool.
Dallas Goedert?
Yeah.
That's a good debate question. Once we have Kevin back, we might need to hit him with that. See, because I think Blake Jarwin is another guy who could make a step, just because they have so many other options that it's hard to focus on him, and I think he'll get a lot of targets this year too. So
this team doesn't miss on tight ends, so I have faith in him until
the Eagles
fall off. Yeah, they don't miss.
Dick Rod, Richard.
Well, they didn't draft him.
Rich Rogers.
Yeah, he
was
draft him.
Somehow our leading receiver last year. I'm pretty sure.
I was watching. I was watching Hamilton the other day. And at the beginning, it says where they filmed it. It was at the Richard Rogers Theater in New York. I was like, they named the theater after him. He's like he's like a below average tight end.
Yeah, after that
my
one
girlfriend's
touchdown catch last year. You were with the right crowd to be making Richard Rogers backup tight end for the Eagles jokes.
No, not at all.
So I think Hurts could definitely be a top 5 fantasy quarterback. I could see him having a breakout year. So for our TikTok tonight, I think it's safe to talk about other breakout candidates all over the league because I think there's quite a few and a lot of young guys who are up and coming. Our older guys that we've been watching for a while, this could be it. They were making some Aaron Rodgers retirement jokes during the match the other day. A lot of young guys are like AJ Green is up there. He's moved on to the Cardinals and stuff like that. JJ Watt, like there's so many guys, staples that we're used to, might not be around for much longer. So we were going to do top 3 breakout players for next season. I will preface this with this. Mine aren't in any order. I just have 3 guys I think will break out.
Okay, yeah, that's perfect.
Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, so we're not in our normal triangle.
Yeah, I'm still going to number them just because the people on TikTok go wild for the numbers. So we'll do the numbers. That's fine. We don't have our normal triangle. So if you would like me to go first, I can, and then we'll just go back and forth and flip-flop. Yeah, sure.
All right. So at 3, I have Jerry Judy. I think he was the best route runner coming into the NFL last year. He had one of the worst catchable ball rates, 76.5 last year. Really high drop rate, but he never had drop problems in college. So I can see him having a bounce back year. He gets open constantly. So I think he'll bounce back and break through.
Number 3, you just hinted at it on the Cardinals. I have Christian Kirk. I think if Larry Fitz doesn't come back, you got D-Hop on one side, AJ Green. You still got to at least consider him as a threat. Someone on that team's going to be open. I think it's going to be Christian Kirk.
And you started to see that a little bit last year too. He had a pretty solid season. I was big on the Cardinals. We already know if you listened to the show last season, we were big on the Cardinals for some reason, for fantasy purposes.
Yeah, I almost had Chase Edmonds on my list. I don't know about you.
At number 2, I have Chase Edmonds, RB1 for the Cardinals. I think they have so many mouths to feed that it'll be tough to focus on him. And I think with Kyler in the backfield, it's always really tough to give all of your attention to the running back because Kyler can always pull it and take off himself, and you're always worried about that threat, that it opens up a lot of holes for the running back. Chase is a dual threat running back. He can catch that out of the backfield. He can obviously run. He had more bursts than Kenyon Drake last year. Now he'll just have more opportunities.
That seems going to be scary.
I think they'll be good. They're in a tough division, but they'll be good.
Yeah, they have JJ Watt now too. The defense is I don't know. I think they're going to be pretty good. Whatever their over-under. I like taking over-unders on wins. I had the Colts the year as soon as Andrew Luck retired, I took the over on their wins. I'm going to take the over on the Cardinals, take the over on the Eagles. I love it.
We'll have to maybe before the season, we'll definitely do an over-under game with teams in their win-loss record.
they're just like Vegas is always just so glaringly wrong with those. I love taking the ones they're just completely wrong about.
Yeah.
Number 2, this is a Kevin pick. I have RB1 for the Dallas Cowboys, Tony Pollard. I think this is going to be. I think we're going to see at least by midseason that Zeke is not the answer, and they're going to slowly phase him out. If he's not hurt by then, I don't want to. You never root for people to get hurt, but I mean, he gets hurt a lot. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, it's not like, running backs just hit a wall so fast, and all of the numbers are not in his favor. He's still young. Like, he hasn't hit that 30 years old wall that a lot of the running backs hit. But they gave him so many carries early on that he probably has the carries where you should be at when you're 28 or 29 years old. And I know he's only like 26, 27. I believe he and I are like the same age. But he has more carries than he should at this point in his career, and I think they really wore him down. Tony Pollard had more bursts than he did. He was more electric. Like, he hit the hole faster. It was so obvious.
All my Tony Pollard knowledge comes from this podcast. But the way Kevin talks about him, like, he's just a more explosive, exciting running back than Zeke. And I think they're going to be. Felt like. I think they're going to have kid gloves with Dak Prescott, so I think they're going to just hand the ball off as quick as possible. Get the ball out of his hands.
At least for the early going, yeah. Mm-hmm. But it was just like, even from an outsider perspective, you're like if you didn't know who Zeke Elliott was, and you were recently introduced to football, and you watched those two run last year, Tony Pollard was the better running back. Name value is what was carrying Zeke, and contract value because we gave him a good amount of money.
Their offense is going to have to be really good, so they're going to need someone on there to break out.
Yeah. All right. And at number 1, this one might even be a little bit too obvious, but I have. Do
you want to say it at the same time?
Oh, no.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
You have somebody different?
Someone else. Just go ahead.
Okay. All right. I have Justin Herbert, Rookie of the Year last year. I believe that he takes that next step. I think the Chargers take the next step. If they could just get rid of the injury problem that they always have, they'd be fine. But this kid's so good. We talked about Hurts being a top 5 fantasy quarterback. I think Herbert could be a top 5 fantasy quarterback as well. I'm totally sold on this kid. Sorry for the jinx. Sorry, Chargers fan. That's probably the kiss of death, me saying that. But I really think they take that next step. I think they're obviously better than the Broncos and the Raiders. They will never challenge the Chiefs, but I think the Chargers can make the playoffs this year with Justin Herbert.
So the number 1 that I thought you were going to have, I have Jalen Reagor.
Oh, God.
I think I'm not even really joking. I mean, if Devante Smith has even a decent looking first few games, they're going to be all over him.
Yeah.
So Jalen Reagor is going to be open, and I think he has the talent. And also, if you're there's something to be said about the Jalen to Jalen connection that I think cannot go. You can't not consider that.
His whole thing is discipline and coaching. The talent, like you've seen it since TCU. He has that extra gear that a lot of guys don't have. He's got that extra burst. You even saw it on some of his punt returns. But he's got to know where to be and when to be. Luckily, they brought in a head coach who used to be a wide receivers coach and has been a wide receiver whisperer his entire career, coaching guys like Keenan Allen and T.Y. Hilton. So they have if it's going to happen, it's going to be with Sirianni.
I love T.Y. Hilton too, because I don't think Sirianni is who taught him this, but he has that self-preservation trait where he's like, I'll just step out of bounds. You don't have to hit me.
Yep, and that creates he's been he usually has soft tissue injuries and stuff like that, but he's still been relatively durable.
Yeah,
for a guy his size.
And when you say he needs to be in his spot is just going to be way down the field past everybody else because he's that barn burner guy. Yeah,
and Devante Smith, we talked about. I think we talked about a few plays, or maybe it was when we did the our draft evaluation of all those guys. Just how many 20+ yards receptions he had. It was Jamar Chase had the most without even playing last year, and then Devante Smith. So he has that speed. Reagor has that speed. So Quez Watkins has that speed. So now you got corners playing on their heels, which is exactly where you want them. John Hightower, kind of. We'll see on him. Well, all these guys have that speed where you're going to put the corners on their heels and make them think I can't keep beat over the top. And it's going to open up a lot of things, hopefully.
Yeah, so I guess just to round that out, I don't know. I'm excited for this offense. I'm excited for week 1. We'll decide
I'm
after
glad.
that. I'm excited.
Yes, I will. I will be in the arena or the stadium, I guess I should say. My brain's still on NBA. I'm sorry. I will be in the stadium week 1. So I'm excited. I'm glad that we ended on a positive note. I'm glad that you
Carson
were like,
Wentz banner will be gone by then.
I know. Well, it's in Atlanta, so it will definitely be gone because it was not there.
No.
But I'm glad we ended on a positive note. You're in on Jalen Reagor. I'm in on Jalen Hurts. We're ready for week 1. We're ready for some football.
I'm all in on Jalen Hurts. My biggest thing, I don't give a shit about talent in sports. It's all about the vibe in the locker room, and I think Jalen Hurts can bring back what Frank Reich took with him.
I am not a believer in the culture beats talent when talent doesn't work hard, or that saying. But there is you are right that there is something to be said. Like there's a vibe that you have to be good, and they clearly didn't have it last year. They kind of we'll just leave it as a fresh start. It's positive, all positive vibes around here. We're getting back to positivity in this city.
Yeah, I think what you said is right when you're talking about like an AAU baseball team. Like some people on that team just stink. We're talking about an NFL football team. Everyone there is in the NFL. There's talent on the team. So if everyone, they come in loose, they come in a good mood, there's good vibes in the locker room. I don't know. Like
we'll see.
We had a tweet go crazy today. It was them running out of the tunnel at the Super Bowl. Like there was just a feeling. We need to get that.
Gotta get that dreams and nightmares intro feeling back. We'll see. All right. Anything else tonight before we wrap up our miniature episode that went over half an hour?
No, I just think Corey Clemens is probably the answer, so bring him back.
Well, we have 5 running backs already, so why not 6? All right. Vince, thank you for popping on and juggling this as well as the other podcast. We'll be back with Kevin. We'll be back with guests. We actually have a really cool guest idea that's being lined up. One of our guests has helped us with another guest, and then we'll have another guest on top of that. It's going to be a big whole thing. So we're pretty excited about that, and possibly new sponsorships too. So a lot of big things coming between now and the season, and we'll be back on our normal format probably next week, and we'll catch you then.
Go watch Spitballing and PNR, whatever else you want. It's a podcast. They're not timed. Watch whenever you want.
Chris Hansen here, and I'm going to need you all to take a seat right over there and check out Birds versus Boys.
I think you're completely right here, and I hate it.
Yep. Hey, idiots. Stop doing dumb things.
I got 2 phones.
Upset alert. I might go insane.
I think you're already there.
There's no hope. Hope is gone.
If this was an AFC North podcast, we'd be done in 15 minutes.
Bob Hope. I'm going to drink bleach. That is
the team you promised me you were going to be this year.
This is the Consciously Hopeful podcast.
I'll be watching.